Good afternoon, everyone. It's Elaine Marsden, and this is the Heart to Heart show. And it's the first Google Hangout that I've actually done now in a couple of months. And of course, what's happened is there's been a technical hitch today, which has meant, let me just close this down, which has actually meant that my guest hasn't been able to join. So this is a little bit of an issue. So I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to hold the fort for about 5 minutes. I've probably got 5 minutes worth of content on blogging, but my expert really is the person that I want on this show rather than me. Yes, of course, I do blogs myself, but it's not my forte. But let me just tell you about some of the things that I would recommend while we're waiting for Sam to hopefully get connected. One of the things I'm going to recommend is a resource that I've found recently, and it's called PhotoPin. And what it is, it's a creative resource for bloggers and anyone that's writing for social media. And it's literally free images, because to my mind, yes, the words are important and being creative with your words is essential. But I think the images that you use are equally important. I'm a very visual person, so the first thing that I'll want to do when I look at any blog post is to check the images. Now, not everybody is visually orientated. Some people actually much prefer the words and the content, and that's more important to them. So anyway, that was my first resource for you, PhotoPin. And I've checked it out, and yes, some of the images you have to pay for, but if you take a look at it, you can just right click over any of the images and then copy them, and then you can have access to them. But I don't know what you would do for images. Yes, you can go to Shutterstock, and there's probably others, and it would be brilliant. It would be brilliant if you've got a recommendation yourself, because there's a lot of people listening in today, and I'd love to know what you use. So that's the first thing. Then the other thing about blog posts, and I'm guessing any kind of writing that you do, I mean, what I would do regularly is send out e-shots to my database. I sent one yesterday, and the most important thing for an e-shot, similar to a blog post in a way, is the headline, the attention-grabbing headline. And people who are writers will often say, just spend as long on the title as you do on the blog copy or the email itself. Oh my goodness, it looks like Sam's here. Phew. Anyway, as I was saying, just to spend a lot of time on the title, because that's going to be the make or break with regards to whether that email is going to get opened or whether the blog post is going to be clicked on and read. So Sam, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Finally got my technology sorted out. Well, hopefully, touch wood. Brilliant.
Well, we can hear you, but I can't actually see you, but I'm going to be mercies, actually. All we were talking about, Sam, was I've just mentioned a resource that I found recently called photopin.com, and it's a great way of getting free images. There's probably a whole bunch of other sites out there, but that's the one that I've started to use. Brilliant, I can actually see you now. That's great. Yeah. So let me do an introduction to you, Sam. We had no opportunity to get nervous in the green room, because literally we were coming up to 4 o'clock, and we hadn't been able to get connected. But anyway, that's all behind us now. Welcome, Sam. Now, Sam, you and I know each other from networking, and we're based in the same area. We're based in Ipswich here in the UK, and I know you've spent quite a lot of time in Egypt, and you've had a great range of different jobs and lots of experiences, and I know you've got 2 cats, haven't you?
I have got 2 cats, and I'm hoping that they're not going to disturb us today.
Okay.
They're very naughty. At the moment they're being well behaved, so let's hope they remain well behaved.
And these cats are in fact Egyptian cats, because you've adopted them and brought them back to the UK, is that right?
That's right, yeah. I've got Gabby, who I rescued from the streets,
Yeah.
with my friend Vanessa, who is a huge cat lover, and Charlie was one of my neighbour's cats, had kittens, and they were looking for a good home for him. Unfortunately, over there, they don't very often get them spayed or neutered.
Right.
Kittens everywhere, so that's something that the Egyptians are campaigning about to promote awareness about getting the cats and dogs neutered. And a lot of vets do it for free or for half price for street animals.
Right, right. That probably seems like a long time ago, your time in Egypt, and I know now you're focusing on growing your social media business. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. Growing Suffolk social media, where I do social media marketing management and copywriting. Started off as a copywriting, freelance writing business, and evolved into social media. I think social media and copywriting, particularly blogging, PR and press releases, I think they all work very well in conjunction with each other, because at the end of the day, it all has to be part of the marketing mix. You can't use one of these things on its own. It's just one leg of the table, so to speak, and you need to make sure that you've got the other legs in place as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, before embarking on, let's say, deciding that yes, you do need to do blogging, it's well, how does that figure in the marketing mix? What part of your plan is that going to be? And that will, kind of dictate how many blog posts you want to do, and for you to schedule those out into the future. And I'm really interested to find out the things that you're going to share with us about writing blog posts. So should we dive right in, because we've got 30 minutes, so I'd love to know where to start.
Okay, well, I think the first thing I would say is keep it simple. I know it sounds obvious, but when I first started writing, not just blogging but writing in general, I was actually worried that my writing style was too simple, but actually I think that's really good, because that appeals to people, because it makes it very readable. And I know when I'm researching blogs for my clients or for myself, some of the blogs that are out there are very complicated and written in very complicated language, and I think it puts people off. So actually, the simpler the better. So if your writing style is simple, that's a plus, and you should look at that as a negative thing.
Okay, and how? Sorry for interrupting. How many kind of, what sort of size, number of words, or is there an ideal?
Well, the thing is with blogging, one thing I've noticed is that everyone will tell you something different about, not just about the word count, but about all sorts of things. I know you and I both recently attended Andrew Culture's talk on blogging at Sims, and he recommended 300 words being the ideal. On the other hand, you and I also both attended Brad Sugar's event, talking about buying customers, and he was talking about blogging 2 or 3 times a week, and they could be very short blogs, just a quote or a paragraph or one sentence. So I really don't think there's a magic formula. Like as well, another thing that people will tell you different things is in regard to SEO and keywords and call to action. Some people say you need to put a call to action twice in the blog, and others say don't put a call to action at all in there. Others say you need to have keywords in certain places, a certain number of keywords. What I'm finding is the general consensus of opinion seems to be now is that it's, although keywords are also important, it's more important for the content to be interesting and flow like a natural story or a natural article, rather than it being artificially stuffed with keywords. But like I say, there are different opinions on this, and yeah, I've had lots of people give different opinions on both of those things. So and I think blogging is still a relatively new thing as well. So to a certain extent, it's about testing and measuring the results.
And I guess the results are going to be, you know you're successful if they're going to be shared, if people are engaging and commenting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, and talking about engaging and commenting, that's a really good way to promote yourself as a blogger as well, is to comment on other people's blogs, as that will increase your audience, because they'll see the other person's audience will see the comments that you're making, and they'll be more inclined to look at your blog and your website as well.
Okay, so the first thing then is to try and keep things simple and not write in complicated language. Certainly avoid jargon. There's nothing worse than that. What else? What if people don't feel very confident at writing at all? How would you encourage them to make a start?
I would say start by writing something that you're passionate about. Know your subject, believe in your subject, and that will really show in your writing. So that's really important, and that's probably, I would say, the most important thing and the best place to start. So hopefully, if you're in business doing something that you love doing and something that you're passionate about. So just write about that. And in regard to what I said earlier, in regard to avoiding jargon and keeping it simple, one thing you can do is, when you've written the blog, when you finish it, read it out loud, and spot any words that people might not understand, and then if necessary go back and explain them. And I mean, I get told off all the time for using jargon, and I don't realise that I'm doing it, because I mean, even some people I talk to, and they don't even know what a blog is. So you know, sometimes I have to explain to people what a blog is. I talk about content. A lot of people don't know what content is. So when you have written your blog, go back over it, read it out loud, or ask a friend or a colleague, someone who doesn't know much about the subject, and say, can you read this for me? Do you understand it?
And would you, let's say you've picked a topic you were going to write a blog about, would you write keywords down first and then kind of pad that out, or do you just tend to write it all and then prune it back?
Yeah, I think it depends on your style of writing. I think if you're the type of, some writers plan things and some writers just get inspired and go with the flow. For me, I'm one of the latter. I tend to just get it all down on paper or on the computer these days, show my age there, and then once I've kind of got it all out, then I'll look at it and see if I need to restructure it or make any changes. But yeah, I don't really plan it when I write, but that certainly is one way of doing it, and it's probably a more organised way of doing it. But I like to feel that I'm being inspired.
Yeah.
That my inspiration is just pouring out onto the canvas, so to speak.
Yeah, that muse just comes to you somehow. And what do you do to get inspiration then? Where does it come from?
I usually find that it just hits. It just hits me. Unfortunately, this seems to happen to me quite often in the middle of the night. It depends. Sometimes I just go back to sleep again. But if it's something, sometimes I just feel like I'll wake up and I'll think I have to get this written, and I'll just get up and just write it on the computer, and then go back to bed again. Sometimes I publish when I do that in the night. But usually when I've written something, I'm really keen to get it published as soon as possible, because I still get a buzz when I see my work published. But sometimes if I have written it in the middle of the night, I do try and wait until the next day and read it through again with a clear head before I publish.
Yes, it might seem good at 2 a.m, but in the cold light of the morning, not quite so good. So there we are. That's a tip for you. Make sure you've got a notepad or something by the side of your bed. If you get an inspiration, jot it down, and then you can kind of work on it later.
I know that's something that Andrew Fulcher said when he did his talk about if inspiration strikes, write it there and then, or at the very least, just write some notes. So at least got the outline, because I think the other thing is if you write it when inspiration strikes, then you're going to be more passionate, whereas if you leave it for a week or two, then the passion will have cooled down. And I know I've done this, and I can really see the difference in my writing when I've written when inspiration strikes, rather than writing it a week or two later.
So, you know, if you're writing for somebody, do you actually plan the 6 months or the year campaign, depending on what's happening during different seasons of the year? Do you work like that?
I tend to. It really depends on each individual client. A lot of the work that I've done so far has been ad hoc work, so it's been one-off blogs. So yeah, I think it is a good idea to plan in advance. Something that I've done myself personally, but I would recommend that if you're doing something regularly and tying it in with the rest of your social media and your marketing mix.
Yes. So when you've written a blog, then what do you do with it? What sort of ways do you have of kind of promoting it?
I promote it on. I promote my blogs on Google Plus, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I think there are also packages that you can use, which I'm looking into at the moment. I don't use them at the moment. I know that's something that Andrew mentioned. That help you to promote your blogs. Something else that Andrew recommended was on Twitter to post about it 3 times in the first 48 hours.
Right.
And when you do that, change the title around every time you post about it. So, for example, if I was going to do a blog on blogging, I might the title of the blog might be top 10 tips to get the most out of your blogging, or something like that. And then I'd tweet that when it was published, and then tweet it again twice within the next 48 hours and change the title around. So the second time it might be are you getting the most out of your blog? Yeah, and that's a good way to promote the blog. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, commenting and engaging with other bloggers on their blog posts. That's another way to build up your audience.
Yes, yeah. Going back to the tweeting your blog and changing the headlines. I was talking before you came online about how the headlines are often very, very important, and there's a great resource which hopefully we'll be able to put on the Google event, where you can put in what it is you do. So for me, Hangouts, and then it produces this spreadsheet of 50 different ways to talk about Hangouts, like top tips for Hangouts, best practices for using Hangouts, etc. So that would be a really great resource, I think, for people to use.
Yeah, definitely. That was something that Andrew mentioned, and I've been trying to find that so that we can post it.
Yes,
I haven't find it so far, but I will find it and send it to you so that you can post it for the viewers to have a look at.
Excellent. And I know when I first met you, you talked about an application which I did download for a while. It was really good. Something called ginger.com, which is a great resource for helping people who are novices at writing, really, or just want to make sure they're writing effectively. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, Ginger. It basically corrects your spelling and grammar, and it's a free piece of software that you can download. I find it much more practical and easy to use than the spell checker and grammar checker on Microsoft Word. The only thing is there are a lot of Americanisms in there, so you have to make sure that you know the difference between your American English and your British English.
And all those, all our American friends listening out there, yeah, we love your spellings too.
my American friend, I always say to her, I'm going to teach her how to speak English properly. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it's a really good tool, like I say, and it's free. And something else that I've discovered this week is, I don't know if you've heard of Grammarly.com.
Grammarly? No.
Grammarly.com. And on Facebook, I found actually they've got a tool where you can copy and paste your blog or your article or whatever it is that you've written into Grammarly.com, and it will tell you, first of all, it will tell you whether it's plagiarised or not, and secondly, it will also highlight any errors. And it does that for free, but it doesn't tell you what the errors are unless you pay for it. You can have a 7-day free trial, but that does look like a good tool. I think I've only just discovered it, so I need to look into that a bit more.
What I liked about the Ginger software that you just download, there's a free one, there's also a paid version. I really like the fact that it helps you with placing commas in the right place. Now, it might be a small point, but you know, writing well is very important, because people will notice if there's not a flow, and it really helps you get those commas exactly in the right place if you're confused about where to put them. So I'm guessing that Grammarly will do the same.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay, that Grammarly probably does the same, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I was going to say I haven't noticed that with the commas, so maybe that means my commas are in the right place, which is always good to know.
Well, the other thing I would recommend that I did, I took one of these Coursera online courses. They're free. I can't remember which university in America it was through. It's a 10-week course all about writing effectively. Excellent course. So, but it just made me aware, commas, they need to be in the right place. So I was paranoid then about my commas. So it sounds like you already have got them covered.
The best tip I ever had in regard to grammar and proofreading documents is that when you finish writing, is to read it out loud to yourself. Because if you just read it in your head, you miss things because you just read it quickly. Whereas if you actually read it out loud, you're more likely to spot any errors. And you also can tell naturally where the commas come in when you read it out loud. So that's probably the best tip I've ever been given in regards to writing. And especially when you are the type of writer like me, who does just write it all really quickly, it's really important then to go back and reread what you've done.
Yes, and you know, do you have a favourite blogger that you would recommend as a person that you know, is good at that style of blogging, or that works for you?
Well, in regards to social media blogging, there's a lady called Rebecca Radis. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but she does a lot of blogs about social media and blogging. And I find her blogs very useful, and they are written in layman's terms. They're very easy to understand.
Yeah, Seth Godin as well is another one. Seth Godin, he's very prolific at blogging.
Yeah, and there's Simply Measured. They have a lot of good blogs, and Social Media Examiner as well. There is a lot of really good information out there for people that's very user-friendly. Yeah,
well, let's make sure that we add some links onto the Google event page and see, and people can add their own, of course. Let's build up this resource.
Something else I wanted to mention quickly, which I think is really important, is about making sure that you have the 80-20 split. So this is really important about not selling too much to your target audience.
Okay.
So the majority of your blog posts should be posts that add value to the target audience and that are just interesting and informative and fun. And you, in 80% of the blog posts, you shouldn't be trying to sell or promote your services, so that people know that they can come to your blog for a resource. And only 20, you should only be selling or promoting or mentioning your services in a maximum of 20% of your blog posts.
Good. That's good advice.
Really important. One of the most important things.
Because that way, then people will keep coming back, rather than think, oh well, they're just selling. We'll just ignore them.
And at the end of the day, social media is all about conversation, and people want to feel that they're being engaged in the conversation, and that they're being listened to. And the last thing people want is to feel that they're being bombarded with sales and marketing information. Otherwise, they'll just switch off and stop following you.
How much personal information should you put in a post? I guess it depends on the kind of company you are, but people do like to know a little bit about the business and the person behind the business, don't they?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and I think it works for social media as well. I mean, I've seen some people say, oh, you know, be careful what you put on your social media, because, you know, everyone's going to see it and your business contacts are going to see it. Somebody else, I think that, again, there's different points of view on this, and there was somebody else, and I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Sarah Arrow, who we were talking about this morning.
Right.
Somebody mentioned that basically just be yourself, and if people don't like it, then they're not the sort of clients you want anyway. Now, I think, you know, there's you can look at it from both sides. I mean, I know that I post controversial things on my Facebook sometimes, but I think that's all part of my personality. I am a little bit controversial and people by people, so probably put some people off. But on the other hand, some people hopefully like my quirky personality.
Oh, indeed. Now listen, Sam, we are getting a little bit towards the end of this hangout. I know we started a bit late, but I am going to throw open the Showcase app now. Hopefully this is going to be working. And I know that you wanted to tell people who are listening and watching a little bit about an offer that you've got going on at the moment. So hopefully that is showing on the right-hand side of the screen, or it might be your left. But do you want to just tell us a little bit about, you know, the offer of what's available for people?
Yeah, I recently started my Get It Done sessions. My Get It Done sessions are designed for people who don't have the budget to outsource their social media, or want to keep control of it themselves. This is in regard to social media and blogging. So I've designed these Get It Done sessions, which are 4 hours a month, and people come for 4 hours a month. In that 4 hours, then I'll guide them through the process of getting the bulk of their social media done for the month. So at the end of the 4 hours, they'll go away with their social media done for the month, and I'll be on hand to guide them through the process and answer any questions. And I also do the same for blogging. So again, people come for 4 hours, and I guide them through the process of writing a blog, and I'll help them with that process, help them to proofread it and edit it, and then and also to publish it. So at the end of the 4 hours, they'll go away with a published blog post that they can use in conjunction with their social media for the rest of the month.
That's great. Thank you. That's really brilliant. And so the links will be available inside the Hangout for you to click to go straight to Sam's page on her website. And I think there's nothing better than setting aside that amount of time to get something done. it's like having a default diary. I mean, I do that here, and often we'll put aside an hour to do my marketing. Obviously, it usually takes a lot more than that, but it's just setting aside the time and getting things done, which is a great concept. So I really love that idea, Sam. Now, I am going to open up this Hangout for anyone who's watching via Google Events, so you can come and have an informal chat with us. But the Hangout itself now is going to end, so I would really like to thank you very much for being with us today. And I've got a whole series of fantastic guests lined up, including an actual product demonstration coming up towards the end of the month. So please come back again and comment and add all of your favourite blog posts onto the Google event, because the more the merrier, and it's all about engagement and interaction. And if there's anyone that you think that I should be interviewing on this Hangout, let me know and I'll do my best to track them down. So again, thanks very much for listening. Till next time, bye for now.
Bye.